Honorable Professor G.L. Paris, Minister of External Affairs, Honorable Dr. Subramaniam Swamy, Member of Parliament and Leader of the Janata Party of India, the Secretary to the President, Mr. Lavit Veeratunga, Secretary Defence and Urban Development, Mr. Gotabaya Rajapaksa, Secretary External Affairs, Mr. Karunathilaka Ammanugama, Defence Secretary of Pakistan, Your Excellencies, Ambassadors and High Commissioners, Chief of Defence Staff of Sri Lanka, Commander of the Sri Lanka Navy, Commander of the Sri Lanka Air Force, Inspector General of Police, Chief of Defence Force of Maldives, Royal Brunei Land Force Commander, past service commanders, guest speakers, distinguished delegates from home and abroad, ladies and gentlemen. Historically, armed forces around the world have been tasked to provide military aid to civil authority at different times. This process is also known as civil military cooperation or CIMIC. The scope of such assistance is manifold. It encompasses military aid to civil community, military aid to civil ministries, and military aid to civil power. The case in Sri Lanka post-conflict situation had no difference. The armed forces were called in to assist the civil community, the civil ministries, and the civil power in post-conflict reconstruction and rehabilitation. The engagement of the armed forces in Sri Lanka in civil-military cooperation was in parallel to the humanitarian operation as opposed to the sequential principle of reconstruction and rehabilitation following warfare and emergency relief. The 3-decade-long conflict had left the northern and eastern provinces of Sri Lanka in disarray. The infrastructure, government administrative system, health services, community services, power and energy service, education and housing had been destroyed and disrupted. The social fabric and religious structures, which are critical to social and community harmony, had been systematically reduced. Approximately 300,000 people were displaced from their villages. They had to be fed, clothed, and sheltered, and subsequently resettled. Over 10,000 combatants surrendered voluntarily. They had to be taken care of, rehabilitated, and reintegrated into society. A sense of disharmony and distrust prevailed. The situation necessitated a well-concerted response. The government responded with a well-coordinated strategy integrating government ministries and agencies and national and international relief agencies under the leadership of His Excellency the President, Mahinda Rajapaksa, the President of the Democratic Socialist Republic of Sri Lanka. The government strategy recognized the need to move on as one nation to achieve a Sri Lankan identity, transcending beyond multi-ethnic, multi-religious, and multicultural diversity to exploit the geostrategic advantage Sri Lanka is endowed with. Reconciliation is the key for a Sri Lankan identity to emerge through disharmony and distrust that prevailed. The defeat of terrorism in May 2009 and the ensuing devastation, both physical and psychological, provided the ideal launching pad to seek reconciliation through reconstruction, rehabilitation, resettlement, and reintegration, in short, the 5 Rs. Today, 3 years on, Sri Lanka has successfully treaded the path towards national reconciliation. The infrastructure in the northern and eastern provinces are being developed to contemporary standards. Over 90% of the displaced have been resettled in their original habitat. Over 10,000 former combatants have been rehabilitated and reintegrated into civil society. The economy in the northern province is booming at an annual growth rate of 22%. The recommendation of the Lessons Learned and Reconciliation Commission, appointed by His Excellency the President Mahinda Rajapaksa, to inquire into the failure of the ceasefire agreement of 22nd February 2002 and the sequence of events that followed up to 19th May 2009 are being implemented gradually. devolution power to the provinces is being negotiated. Many countries, mainly from the West, wanted Sri Lanka to implement and or introduce many measures at a rapid pace, surpassing their own in similar circumstances. However, Sri Lanka, unwavering under the guidance of the Presidential Task Force for Reconstruction and Rehabilitation, led by Honorable Basil Rajapaksa, Minister of Economic Development, implemented measures at the optimum pace and was successful in bringing normalcy and resettling all the IDPs within a period of 3 years. This proves beyond doubt the success of our own systems. These giant strides reflect the commitment of all stakeholders engaged in the process of reconstruction, resettlement, rehabilitation, reintegration, and reconciliation. It is unfortunate that all the work done is not conveyed or not known by the international community. We do acknowledge the lack of dissemination of information to the outside world. This deficiency has been exploited by the diaspora to dilute the progress made and generate anti-government propaganda, especially violations of human rights by the military. Very little is known of the military that has gone beyond the call of duty, collecting finances and building homes for their one-time adversary. Defseminar 2012 on the theme towards lasting peace and stability will showcase the post-conflict progress in Sri Lanka in the spheres of reconstruction, resettlement, rehabilitation, reintegration, and reconciliation. It will provide insights into the ground realities in Sri Lanka and afford the opportunity to assess for oneself the genuine effort at national reconciliation by all concerned and ignite a change in your perceptions of Sri Lanka. I welcome Honorable Dr. Subramanian Swamy, the Member of Parliament and Leader of Janata Party in India, Dr. Russell Howard, Professor Arik Kuglansky, Sir Bill Jeffrey, and Colonel James Robinson, who will share their intellect in their fields of specialization as guest speakers. I welcome Lieutenant General retired Asif Yazid Malik from Pakistan, who had been recently appointed Defense Secretary of Pakistan, Major General G.S. Shergill from India, and Major General retired M.G. Stone from United States of America, who will share their experience in various post-conflict scenarios. I welcome Major General Ahmad Sham, the Chief of Defence Force of Maldives, and Brigadier General Dato Yusuf, the Royal Brunei Land Force Commander, and other all senior delegates from across the world. Your presence is testimony to the strong bonds between our armed forces. Last but not the least, I welcome each and every delegate to the Defseminar 2012 from all over the world. I am confident that the Defseminar 2012 will provide the platform for professional interaction and enrichment of knowledge, leading to the development of new strategies and techniques to overcome post-conflict challenges that the world may face in the future. I wish all of you a rewarding experience and a memorable stay in Sri Lanka. Now, I will take this opportunity to introduce you the keynote speaker today. Honorable Ministers, Members of Parliament, Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. The end of conflict and the dawn of peace bring about a wide array of challenges. The post-conflict scenario in Sri Lanka was no different. Addressing these challenges ranging from political, social, psychological, diplomatic and security concerns was the core to sustaining the hard-won peace. The government of Sri Lanka, under the leadership of His Excellency President Mahinda Rajapaksa, stood up to the challenge and responded with a coordinated strategy, integrating ministries and agencies and national and international relief agencies. The strategy so formulated was put into action with the fullest support of the armed forces, which adapted rapidly from war fighting to nation building under the visionary guidance of the Secretary of Defence and Urban Development, Mr. Gotabaya Rajapaksa. We are privileged to have none other than Secretary of Defence and Urban Development, delivering the keynote address at Defseminar 2012. Mr. Gotabaya Rajapaksa joined the Sri Lanka Army in 1971 and rose to command the 1st Gajaba Regiment, an infantry battalion, in 1989. He engaged actively in combat, leading troops successfully during all major operations conducted by the Sri Lanka Army then, among which Operation Trivida Balaya to liberate Jaffna Fort, Operation Liberation to liberate Vadamarachi in Jaffna, and Operation Balavege to liberate Elephant Pass stand out. He was decorated with the Ranavikrama Padakama and the Ranashura Padakama for gallantry. He also functioned in key staff appointments at Army headquarters as well as formation headquarters and instructional appointments at the Army Training Center, Diethalava, and the Kotalawala Defence Academy, Ratmalana. He underwent military education and training successfully in India, Pakistan, and the United States of America, and graduated from the Army Command and Staff College, Wellington, India in 1983. He retired from regular force of the Sri Lanka Army in 1991. He was entrusted with the responsibility of spearheading the successful campaign to defeat terrorism in Sri Lanka as Secretary of Defence by His Excellency President Mahinda Rajapaksa in 2005. He is a revered figure in Sri Lanka for leading the military operation that succeeded in ridding the country from terrorism. He was conferred with a doctorate by the University of Colombo in recognition of the services rendered to the nation. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my privilege to call upon Secretary of Defence and Urban Development, Mr. Gotabaya Rajapaksa, to deliver the keynote address. Thank you.